Hello, I'm Nick Dark and I'm just going to give you a quick 10-minute video for beginners yoga to talk through some basic poses that constitute the foundation of a flow in Vinyasa flow. So Vinyasa flow is a form of yoga which is about balancing strength with stretching. It is also about learning what is right for you as an individual, making sure that you tailor your practice to yourself, not just forcing or pushing into any particular pose, and connecting your breath to every movement so that you feed your muscles with oxygen to sustain you through practice. And also, we keep moving through our Vinyasa flow practice. We don't stay in one pose for a very long time. We inhale into one and we might exhale into another. So hopefully that gives you a simple overview, and I'll get started with some basic poses. So number one, downward facing dog, which is where we start the basic flow from, which is basically like an upside down triangle. Now the myth here is that you have to have your heels flat to the floor and you have to have straight legs. If you have tight hamstrings or a tight lower back, then you will need to bend your knees here. The goal is very much a straight back, pushing your hips to the sky. Push through your hands as much as your fingertips. Take your hands shoulder width distance apart and really let the neck and the head go. Do whatever you need to with the legs to support the back and the hips. And if you're going to bend your knees, then you might want to bring your feet a little bit closer to the back of your wrists, finding a stance and a position which works well for you. And then we take a nice deep breath in and out in our downward facing dog. Now the next basic movement in the flow is coming forward into a plank pose and lowering, high through low plank, or what is called Chaturanga Dandasana in yoga. And that is basically a tricep lower. Now as you begin, you might want to just drop your knees to the mat when you initially first lower. But if you are building up good core strength, working through the shoulders, the hips, and straight down to the heels, you're basically going to lower yourself down to the mat before coming into upward facing dog. So we lower, not quite down to the ground, and you see my hands are underneath my shoulders, my elbows come down to my side, I'm still above the ground, and I sweep forward into upward facing dog. Here my heart is open, I gaze forward, I do not look up, I keep my neck in line with my spine, I engage my thighs so they're off the ground. That engagement of the thighs and the glutes supports your lower back, and your shoulders are down and away from your ears. And then from here, it's easy to turn the toes and push back to downward facing dog. That are the basic simple steps of your flow, and we then combine that with a standing pose. So from here, you might take a nice deep breath in. Then on your exhale, bend your knees, look forward, and either step or hop both feet up to your hands. From here, we come into what's called a half lift, or a halfway lift. Now, the goal is that we're not upright and we're not completely down, we are halfway. Our back is in line with the ground, parallel. We're going to bend our knees here so that we can get a nice straight back, and our neck is in line with the spine. So that again, we're not looking up and creating awkward angles with the neck, but everything nice and supported and smooth and straight. You're going to suck your stomach to your spine here to support your lower back as you do this. And then from here, you can then exhale down into a forward fold. And again, you will often see people pushing their legs out straight here and then taking a bend and roundedness through the back. Now, if you're a flexible person, or if you've stretched a lot and you've got yourself where you do want to have straight legs here, then that works for you and that's great. For a lot of people, you'll want to bend your knees so that you can really hinge through the hips and let the back go. The goal of this pose is to release through the spine, let the weight of the head pull the torso down towards the mat. If you're taking any bend through the back, bend the knees, you'll release the hinge point, which is in the hips, and you'll let go. Also, by having straight legs and taking a bend through the back, you're placing a lot of pressure in this pulley point in the lower back here in the sacrum. Bending the knees means we look after hamstrings and back. And then from here, on your next inhale, we will sweep our hands all the way up to stand and even beyond. Hands in prayer, pointing to the sky. Your gaze to follow your hands a little bit. Before you can then exhale, fold back down again. So we come up, we go down, we repeat in reverse order the poses, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands to the mat, step or float both feet back to a plank, and then lower, high through low plank, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, gaze forward, thighs engaged, shoulders down. Exhale, downward facing dog. And breathe. Okay? So that is very simply a basic flow in Vinyasa yoga.